Hi there, welcome to JD Answers. Today I have the Urvolax Dashcam Hardwire Kit installation. We're going to be installing the Dashcam Hardwire Kit to maximize the parking mode. This gives us 24-hour protection without draining your vehicle battery. This is a good add-on feature to your Urvolax Dashcam. I'm going to show you step by step on how to install the Dashcam Hardwire Kit into your vehicle. Before we begin, I got to tell you the difference between a constant circuit and a switch circuit. Now the switch fuse gets power when the car is turned on. So when you turn on the car, it gets power. When the car is turned off, then there'll be no more power to the switch fuse. Now, on a constant circuit, there is power to the fuse regardless if the car is on or off. Before we get started, you're going to need a circuit tester in which you plug this into the ground, which is usually the bolt on the fuse box, and the other end to a terminal end on a fuse. So I'm going to get my circuit light tester. What I'm going to do is test each fuse. I'm only going to test the ones with the 10 amps. I don't want anything larger than that. So I'm going to put the circuit light tester on one side of the fuse. I don't have to put it on both sides. If I get a reading on one side, that is sufficient. And what I'm looking for is a constant fuse that it stays on all the time. Now the car is off, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and start testing on one side. And if it has power, it will light up. And right now there is no light. Going to the next one. No light. Next. No light. Nothing. 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 And nothing. Nothing here. And we try it again. Alright. And the next one. And oh, here we go. We got a light. So this one is on all the time because the car is off at the moment. I'm going to test this. Okay. That one is on as well. And that one is on. And on. And on. Wow, this is pretty neat. So it looks like the left side of the circuit fuse is on. Or the left side of the fuse box is on. The right side is not on. That is strange. It doesn't happen all the time. This is a unique situation, so your car may be different. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the vehicle, and I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to test the other side. Remember, we only need to test one side of the fuse. And here I go. Remember, we're looking for 10 amp. That one's on. That one's on. 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 And let me see where else. This one. All right. So it looks like we're finding some that is on. That one's on as well. Not sure why that one's not on. On. And this one's on. Let's go down and on and on. So it looks like the right side is the open circuits or switch circuits. All right, so now we know which one to get. Now we got to look at our schematic and see which one of the fuses we could use. Remember, we don't want anything that starts the car or any airbags. And what I could find is number 1 and number 5 that we could use. This one here in the schematic we're going to use for our switch circuit, and then this one here we're going to use for our constant circuit. All right, so now we know which one we get. I'm going to go ahead and pull out the fuses and see what we got to do next. Now, if you notice, the fuse that we took out compared to the fuse that the Hardwire kit are different. Now, it's hard for the manufacturer to figure out which fuse you need, but there's an easy solution. What you could use is these add fuses. An add a fuse tap is a set of fuse ends that you will use to replace your original fuse ends that don't match what you need. Now the fuse box that I have is a micro fuse. The picture above shows a different fuse. So now I got to switch out the ends to a micro fuse. The add a fuse tap set comes with several fuse ends. All you have to do is choose the correct one you need. Once you figure out which fuse end you need, then you need to splice the wire of each fuse end you need to replace. Then you get the wire connector, attach it to the wire that you need to replace the fuse end on. Alright, the first thing we do is get the wire and we cut it, the part that we don't need, and then we clip the wire to get the copper. Then we get the add a fuse and insert it into there. Once we do that, we go ahead and squeeze it. And then we're going to go ahead and repeat the same process to the yellow wire. And we're all done. Next, we need to test each side of the fuse slot. One side has power coming in and the other side doesn't. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our circuit light tester and we're going to test each side to see which one has power. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to get started. And you can see on the left side, you can see the light on. It already has power. Now we're going to test the other side to see if there's power, and you can see there's not. No power is coming in. And this is the constant fuse side. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn the car on and we're going to test the next side. And you're going to see the left side has power and the right side doesn't. Left side power. Now we know which side. It's left side on both the constant and switch circuit side. Now that we know which side has the load, next we get the added fuse, and you can see the left side is the load and the right side is the ground. So we have to match them up in the fuse box, and you can see in the picture how the positive side load is also the same side as the power that was coming in on the fuse slot. So this is how you have to insert them. Before we install any wires, the first thing you want to do is grab the end of the wire that's going to go to the fuse box and put it inside there. So what we're going to do is remove the weather strip here and we're going to route the wire on the inside. So first we got to take that part out to run it inside the fuse box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my upholstery remover and I'm going to put it on the slot, that open slot in there, and pull that out. See how easy that came out when you have the weather strip out? It's that easy. So now I could go ahead and get the wires and I'm going to push them inside to the fuse box and run them out. If you don't do this, your wire is going to be on the outside of the fuse box when you're doing your installation. That's why you want to do this first. So the next thing you have to do is just simply install the add-on fuses. Now, if you look at the picture, the add-on fuses are facing the same way as I illustrated earlier. The wires are facing to the right because the load side is on the left side. This is how we know the add-on fuses are installed correctly. All right, we're all good. All we're going to do now is just cover the fuse box. Now all we have to do is install the wires coming from the rear view mirror dash cam. Every time I do a dash cam installation, I always start with the power source and I'll work the cable back to the outlet. That way all the slack will be behind the carpet rather than the headliner. So that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to go ahead and start. Now if you notice this cable, it moves to the right because it goes to the passenger position. So that's why it feeds to the right. But now, since this one's going to be coming through the driver's side, Urvolax made sure that it was going to route towards the driver's side. In which I think that is awesome. That is some good strategy and thinking. And you could see how it's turning on already, because we already have it hooked up. Now this right here, what is running through the constant power right now. So that's the constant fuse right now. So we're going to go ahead and we could actually tie it to this cable where there's less cables now. So we're going to go ahead and start routing that. When we start running the wires, we actually have to install this first as well. This has a 3M adhesive, and what you're going to do is you're going to install it to the driver's side area. That way the driver has access to this switch here. We're going to take off the adhesive and we're going to go ahead and mount it. And the wire's facing up because they're going to be inside the headliner. And now all these wires, don't worry about it. It's going right behind the headliner here. It has a lot of room in there. We're just going to shove them in there. And you can see these wires are routing together. And then all we got to do now is route the remaining wire. And all we're doing is putting the wire, kind of like what you did in the beginning, is put it between the window and the headliner. You're just going to shove it in there and it'll hold. Now when you get to this part, sometimes you can see where it falls off. So what I like to do is use this A-pillar. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this weather strip off by simply pushing it down. And I'm going to push it down all the way down because I'm going to need it when I route the wire to the fuse box. All right, so with this A-pillar, on this side, I'm going to pull this A-pillar out, and I'm just going to push the wire inside it. And then with my fingers or a gift card, or if you have a upholstery tool, you could just slide that in there. Now just make sure when you're working with the upholstery, your hands are clean. Okay, I got it there. Now I got to do now is just simply push the wire in there. This A-pillar is holding the wire so it will not fall out. So this part is done. So now I'm going to continue running the wire behind the A-pillar, and then I'm going to push the weather strip back into this location. So this weather strip is pretty much holding the wire in. That's how easy that is. All right, let's go to the outside. All right, when you're at the A-pillar, all you're going to do is run the wires between the frame and the A-pillar all the way down to the kick plate. So as you're inserting the wires inside the weather strip, you're just going to go all the way down to the fuse box or the kick plate just to get you inside there into the fuse box. All right, I'm just going to keep running the wire down. And then as I'm going down, I'm just going to put the weather strip right on top of it. That way it's going to hold the wire. All right, just going to make sure the weather strip is in there good and secure, and then just make sure the wire's there. The only thing we have left is just to put the weather strip back and test the camera. Now, once we have everything installed, all we got to do now is go to the menu for the next step. Start the vehicle and get into the menu and set it up. Because right now it has constant power, but in the menu it's not set up yet. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and start the vehicle. And before we move on, I want to make sure if this video was helpful for you at this point, go ahead and give me that thumbs up, because I appreciate that from you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and select all notifications for all upcoming videos. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to touch the screen and we're going to hit stop recording. And then we're going to get into the settings because we want to get to video time lapse, because that's what we need to do next. And this is going to set up our parking mode, parking monitoring. All right, so you see here it says time lapse power off. So we're going to go ahead and switch it to on. There we go. And it's in the on position. All right, now the next thing you're going to see underneath that is lapse recording time. Now this one you could set to 12 hours or 24 hours. So what this means is when you go home or you're at the office and you're parked overnight or during the day, you could set this to stop recording after 12 hours because you don't need it to go on 24 hours. So you could set this to 12 hours or 24 hours. I'm going to set it to 12 hours because I'm not going to be anywhere where I need 24 hours unless I'm at the airport or something. I'm leaving the car overnight. All right, so let's get back into there. Now we have the next thing is lapse recording FPS. So what this is frames per second. And right now it's set to 2 frames per second. Now if we touch it, we could get to 1 frames per second, 2 frames per second, or 5 frames per second. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it at the standard of 2 frames per second. Okay, the next thing to do is turn off the vehicle, and here you go. You see the message will enter time lapse. That means the settings is done for this. The parking monitoring is on. Now we see the automatic voltage cutoff. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this. Now you can set this to low, medium, or high. The default cutoff is 11.3 volts. I'm going to set this one to high to 12.1. And you can see the light, how it moved up or down. I'm going to do it again. That's high, low, medium, high. We're going to set this to high. High is 12.1 volts cutoff. Medium is 11.8 voltage cutoff. So I'm going to set mine on high. We are now done installing the Urvolax Hardwire kit for parking monitoring. We set up the menu, and we also set up the automatic voltage cutoff. Now, if this video was helpful for you, please give me that thumbs up. You know I appreciate that from you. If you have any questions about the installation, leave them in the comment section down below and I'll get back to you. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and select all notifications for all upcoming videos. I have the Urvolax dashcam installation. I have a video on how to use the menu. I even have the review video for this dashcam. I also have the unboxing, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. All the products that were used in this vehicle will be linked in the description to purchase. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe!